Hi, everyone. Well, we have a meeting with my team, and we decided that we need to learn and put it into practice what we learned before we decided to go with this solution in to go live with this solution.
Mm-hmm.
So we put a deadline, and we agree that we need 1 month in order to continue learn about web scraping and develop a class using Python and Beautiful Soup or maybe Selenium, which are the libraries that help us doing that job. And at the end of that, well, we want to share what we learn, and I hope that my team and I could uh, meet that agreement and share what we learn.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So it's okay, one step at a time. As long as your team is consistently, attending the session and learning from this session, and also you guys are able to offline continue to get together and start planning is very critical, right? As we were talking about team forming, norming. So from the team point of view, whatever the team that you have formed, Sandra, have you been able to secure properly and all going good?
Yes, yes.
Awesome. So let's go to who said the second team? I think it's Sagal, right? Sagal?
Yeah, it's me, representing Greg's team, our team.
Hmm.
So unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it to the last meeting, but Greg was able to give me an update. So um, we are still gathering results from data from our survey,
Hmm.
and also we are also creating user stories
Awesome, awesome. So you guys,
and learning. Yeah,
yeah,
learning how to create like the agile methodologies of user, like how to create user stories.
okay.
And we are also working on creating and also still waiting for the some of the resharing so that we get more results for our survey.
Awesome, Sagal. And we have a project manager here, Shad. And if you want to kind of understand a little bit more on agile methodology, sprint, and things like that, you can always reach out to her from the project management mentorship point of view.
Oh yes, that would be nice because I think I mean I've done so like we've been studying separately, so I can speak for me. Like I've been doing LinkedIn courses, but um, that would be nice if Shad would be available.
Yeah, you guys know about me, right? I'm more of a practical person, right? It's important that you need to learn from different sources, but at the same time, it's more valuable to learn from someone who's done it practically to understand the practical aspects of it as well, right? So I would, that's why it's important that we have to have mentors.
Yes, I agree. Okay, we will. I guess we'll reach out to Shad if she can help us.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And
Thank
I,
you.
on, on that context, I also was talking to Capgemini, and I asked, I kind of gave them the feedback as to who is joining, who is not joining, because we wanted them as a mentor. And I also told them, give it some more time for your guys to join and get, because see, giving volunteering and taking time out, especially the difficult times that we are going through, is very difficult, right? But however, doing it in this hard time is where the strength is shown, and the consistency is derived, and you're setting a great foundation for your future growth when things start to happen in a better way. So first of all, from that point of view, I really appreciate every one of you joining. So I kind of told them, give it some more time and see if their team is joining us for mentoring. And I gave them my experience, right? Volunteering is not everyone's cup of tea, and also taking time to learn outside of what they do is also not everyone's cup of tea. It takes a special mindset and characteristics and a goal to really do that. Like some of the awesome people you are all here today, right? So So I gave them that input, and they said they'll continue to work on with their team and see if they are able to get us more help. I said, continue trying. If it works, good. If it doesn't work, we will bring additional mentors within our team of Testoper projects, right? So that's how I kind of concluded. Thanks for bringing that up. I just wanted to, give this update before I forget. Now let's move on to Fiend's team. Who's going to give update?
I am Makeith.
Yes, please, Makeith, go ahead.
Okay, so for our team, we're trying to adopt GitHub project tracking tools, something sort of like a Kanban board to increase our efficiency. And we're also looking at using Figma to design our front end before we begin our development. We were in the last meeting, we were also talking about the pricing and how to position QuickWork so we can make pricing a unique factor to attract end users to make us seem better than the competition.
Oh, okay, good. So how is your team coming together? I mean, people are joining offline, and you guys having an offline discussion, because that's more important than joining this particular session, right? That's where the team gets formed and start building. How's that going?
Well, the core members that were there during the first meeting have been joining meetings consistently, so it's been going good.
Perfect. All right, good. Everyone, thanks for joining. So Pankaj, which team are you? Do you belong to?
I am with the Greg's team, like the future.
Awesome. Hetal is joined. Good. So I think it's time we'll start learning some stuff today. And I'll try to close because I know the weather is really good. And I don't want to keep you guys a little bit longer. So I'll try to see if I can finish it in next 15 to 20 minutes so that we can break today's session a little bit early. So you have an opportunity to take a walk with your family. So let me see if I can see anything else you guys have to share with me or tell me before I start presenting some for today's session, learning session. I will take that as no then. Okay. All right. So let's see where we are. Let's do a quick recap for today, right? And then kind of close on this. So it's been like 2-3 months that we are learning together. So the first thing that we learned together as a team is, the definitions of different things, right? What is task? What is knowledge? What is personal abilities and attributes, innovations, skills, tool frames? This is what we learned together. And why did we learn this together? Because it is very important as an individual, all of us, to create a mindset of continuous learning of future skills and innovation. So we can always top of everything and successful in what we wanted to do. This was the critical point that we have been discussing, and that's what the Testoper community as such is all about. Then we kind of talked about, if I have to build a product, right, what do I have to really do? So we kind of understood the different phases in the product management life cycle at a very high level. That's kind of thing that we learned. And in this, we kind of looked at 3 things, right? The first thing is product planning. So from the concept to the definition, what it is. Then the development and launch and the post-launch, right? So we kind of understood what this means. And we are going to learn in detail about each one of these things throughout this year. Then we kind of introduced, because you guys are right now in the form of coming up with an idea. So I thought it would be a good thing to really introduce what the concept phase is all about, right? And we talked about that, what concept phase is. It's all about coming up with an idea, assessing the idea, and then making a decision of the idea that you have come up with so that you can move forward and implement them. So then what we did was we kind of took a break out of this product management life cycle, because, as we kind of discussed together, we are going to learn 4 things. The first thing is we are going to learn foundational elements, which is going to kind of set a stage for you all to understand few definitions that you will come across as an entrepreneur, as an innovator, right? So that's what I mean by foundational elements. And then we wanted to go back to the product management life cycle or product development life cycle and kind of understand what are all the different phases in it, what do we have to do in each phase, and then we also will touch base a little bit on project management, right? Because it's kind of allowed, it's kind of inside this product management life cycle. So the second thing we thought was we will go through that, and then finally the third thing we will go through the skills that are required to become an entrepreneur, which we will learn together, and then finally we wanted to get into the real pitch decks and going and pitching mock to some of the experts there to kind of get our learning, right? I'll bring in some experts who listens to the pitches, to hear your pitches and give some kind of an inputs for your improvement and so on. And that's how we wanted to really close the year, with some MVP that you are able to build before this year. And if you go through this whole thing, I can tell you before end of this year, you will have a greater understanding on how the big thing, at a very high level, how this whole thing works out. But at the same time, you also have to implement what you need to implement to get there, right? Practically, like Sandra was saying. So we have to start, practical implementation of whatever that we have been learning. So we took a break. These are the 4 things that we wanted to learn throughout the year, and we started with the second one, which is a product management lifecycle. Introduced the concept, and it was an intentional, because you are thinking about the idea, and then we went back to training you on different foundational elements. So what did we learn in this foundational elements? We learned some definitions related to personal abilities and attributes. Then we introduced some skills and tools. We introduced IBM Skill Build and IBM for startups. There are some issues there. We got to figure that out, how to move forward with that, or maybe not, and maybe we look for something else. Then the third one is we brought in mentors from Capgemini, and that's also something that we are working together. So now you see, you can actually learn in practice about this whole thing, right? So we have been trying, and there are some successes, there are some failure, but we never give up trying. This is what I wanted every one of you to become. Then we also wanted to learn something about a little bit about customers, a little bit about market, a little bit about financing, a little bit about strategic planning. This is the few things that we wanted to really learn. And we kind of covered most of the things. What we will be today talking about is the forecasting to set milestones, and some templates that I created for you guys. We'll quickly go through that. That's what we're going to do today. And in our next session, we will talk about strategic planning. So once we finish these 2 things, then we more or less finish the foundational elements, and we get back to the product management lifecycle and start learning. We learn concept phase, and we will start learning after concept phase, right? Or even a little bit more details on the concept phase, and we will go one after another. And probably that would take 2 to 3 months. Then we'll get into the entrepreneurship related stuff, third one, and then finally the fourth one is MVP pitching and things like that, right? So this is what we're going to do together this whole year. So now, from that point of view, we started with personal abilities and attributes, and we started learning the differences between the product line, product portfolio. So what is a product? It's just a good, services, and knowledge. And product line is nothing but the groups of product, and product portfolio is nothing but the groups of product lines, right? So that's what we kind of learned. And we understood the difference between the product, services, and solutions and platform. So the product, the services is anything that you do on top of the product. Solutions is nothing but combination of product and services that you take to the customer. And platform is nothing but something something that enables you to build something on top of that, right? An open white box kind of a product. So we kind of learned about that, and we also learned about what is management, what is product management, and what is a product manager. In other words, what's product managers and entrepreneurs? They're all like a little CEO. So you have to have a general management knowledge of different things that's happening, because you need to be able to manage the cross-functional team. So like, for example, today, if by now you probably have learned, right? You try to manage the people, you try to know the finance, you try to know the market, you try to know the customer, you try to know, I kind of went through different things, right? So what happens is, you as an owner, you as an entrepreneur, you as a product owner, product manager, you have to manage all these different teams or the individuals to make your innovator or entrepreneurship goal happen, right? So you naturally have to have a knowledge on all these different cross-functional teams. I told you that, and I started kind of help you to learn different things, right? Leaderships, what is cross-functional teaming, which you have already done. making decisions, which you have been doing it, financial analysis and planning and analysis, we talked about that, industry competition, we talked about that, market segmentation. So if you can take a step back and think about it, what you have actually learned is you have learned different bits and pieces that all is required as a knowledge for you, so that you can connect the dots in a big picture. And this is an awesome thing that you have learned, right? If you think about it and take a step back and think about it. So then we kind of started with leadership, right? What is leadership? Leadership is all about staying calm and making sure that you are, walking the talk, right? You can't just talk. You have to walk the talk, people, so that people can follow you. And we talked about, we learned together a lot of leadership things. We learn together about forming the team, because forming the team is critical. I mean, you can learn and you can do a lot of things and so on, but if there is no team, what's the point? Right? So we kind of learn together how to form the teams and what are the different stages of forming the team. I'm really happy to see 3 teams are formed. The way that you guys are doing things every week and also offline, I'm pretty happy with it. And we learned a little bit more tools and techniques that are required to build the team, and we continued learning about the leadership. And one thing I wanted you to understand is leaders are not born, right? It's also it's a combination of innate skills and also the skills that you are learning over the period of time to really get there. So the continuous learning is very key, and I'm sure that if you continue to learn and continue to manage, if you are able to successfully manage this volunteer team, working together and able to deliver something and learn something this year, then trust me, you will perform really well in a platform where people are paid to do, and they will do because it's their responsibility to do. Just remember this. We continue to learn about a lot of leadership things. What are the values of leadership? What we should have a mindset as a leader, and what we should be taking actions and so on. So that kind of brought us into a stage, all of us, from the mindset point of view. Hey, you know what? I know how to form the team. I know how to lead the team, and I know different small definitions about products, services, solutions, and more, a lot of things, right? So it's kind of bringing all coming all together from the point of view of personal abilities and attributes. Then we kind of started focusing on certain technical terms that is very important for you as an intrapreneur and entrepreneur to focus on. There are a few areas that you need to really focus. You need to understand what the industries are. What are all the different types of industries that are out there? We learned about that together. And we learned about competition. So we learned about industry, and then we learned about competition, how to really go about understanding the competition. What are all the different things that we need to do from the point of view of competitions to create an opportunity for us that is unique, so that we can be successful in the market. So we learned about industries, we learned about competition, and we learned about a little bit more on the competition. And then we went back a little bit to learn about decision. How can I make a decision? A lot of people is really very scared of making decisions. Why you are scared of making decisions is because you don't have enough data point to really collate and make a decision, right? So you have to really look at from the different data points point of view to make a decision. We talked about that, and it's an art, right? It's an art, and you have to solve the problems, right? So that's what the decision making is all about. And remember, there's always going to be a problem to solve. And then we looked at what are all the different steps and processes that we need to really follow to make the decision making. So now what happened was you kind of, so far, if you look at it, if you recap and look at it based on whatever that you have learned, you were able to learn to develop your personal attributes and skills, and also you are able to learn about industry, competition, and then we continued that with finance. So it's very important to know a little bit about finance, because if you are an intrapreneur, if you are an entrepreneur, you have to have a knowledge of the finance. You have to be able to see, do I have enough money to create my product? Do I have enough runway to continue paying my employees? And then we started learning about the basic things, how to read the financial statements, what are all the different types of financial statements. And then with that knowledge, we kind of knew that, okay, whenever I become an entrepreneur, I got to create a budget, and I got to track the budget and make sure I'm within the budget and so on. So it kind of gave you that kind of an understanding. So you learned finance, and then you learned about competition, you learned about industry. What was missing? The missing was customers. So you need to learn about customers, how to go about and make sure you are building a product that is right, a product that customers would really want to use, and more importantly, want to pay. So we kind of went through that, and we try to understand that what is customers, what is voice of customers, what's the difference between the features and the need. We learned all these things together, and we also kind of concluded in our last session about market, right? After understanding the customer, we got to talk about the market. We kind of talked about market, and when you are trying to build a product, it's very important you understand for whom you are building. Without that, it's very difficult, right, for you to do anything and everything around the product and for the business and so on. So what is important that we learned was the differences between the consumer market and the business market. Consumer market means you're actually sending it to the end user, but the business market means you're actually sending it to the business, and that business might sell it to another business, and that business might sell it to an end customer, right? And we gave talked about few examples about different things that we need to really consider to segment a customer or market whom you are actually going behind. So it's very important. If you are able to do that, then only you should be able to identify what's your market size, and who are the competitors serving that market segment, and how many customers are there, how many will buy products from me, and how many they are buying products from our competitors. What can I do to shift their mindset to not use the competitor's product, but rather buy our product? So all these calculations you'll be able to do, and you'll be able to convince yourself with all these data points, and you'll be able to make decision only if you have all these knowledge. Without that, it's going to be very difficult, right? And not only that, right, you got to, when you're actually focusing on the market segments, once you identify the market segments, you have to also think about, is this market segment is growing, right? And you might have a market segment. If that market segment is not growing, the product that you're going to build and you're going to sell, you will not be able to grow the sales. It's not completely true. You will be able to grow the sales, but by capturing the market share from the competitors, right? That you would be definitely able to do. But if you wanted to find a new sales, new customers, if the market is not growing, I mean, the number, let's say you are going to sell in Mississauga, and the people is like only 100,000 people are living, a city, not Mississauga, right? A city, and only 100,000 people are living there, and government don't want it to intake more than 100,000 people in that particular location. So that means you're dealing with that 100,000 people only whenever you are building a product for that particular city, right? So that means if the competitors is already there, yes, you can grow the product by grow your business by taking the customers out of the competitors. But the other means it's going to be very difficult for you to grow, because there's a cap of 100,000 people only is going to be there no matter what. So these kind of things we talked about, which really help you to kind of understand. Now, if you think about this whole thing, right? Just to summarize, just taking a step back, maybe, every week we are talking about it, but if you take a step back and think about it, all that we have learned, I mean, we learned from the point of view of what are all the things required as a personal abilities and attributes to really build a strong team, work with cross-functional teams, and so on. And then the second thing we learned about is to really become an entrepreneur and choose the right idea, understanding the competition, understanding the market, understanding the industries, understanding the customer. I mean, this is very powerful if you think about it from whatever that you have learned so far. Now, today, what we are going to a little bit talk about, this is the only slide I have, and then I will open some tools that I have put. Maybe I'll not go through the complete tools, but I'll give you, these are all the tools that I have put through, and you can always go through that, and it's pretty self-explanatory. So what we are going to learn, one slide today is forecasting to set milestone. It's very important, right? So you already know finance, right? You know financial statements and so on, how to budget it and how to track the budget. You already know. But there are certain concepts that you need to know. New words I'm going to introduce. And you would see this word in many places when you wanted to try to learn and so on. And the first thing that I wanted to really introduce today is, let's say you have gone through and you have learned all these things, right? Whatever that we talked about. And there is a reason why I had to give you the recap, right? Because of this one slide. You should be able to connect based on all the recaps that I've given. So you've learned so many things and everything is good. You have an idea and you have created, you decided this is the market segment that you wanted to go after. This is the customer that you wanted to go after. Then the next thing that you need to understand as an entrepreneur is what is the total size of the market? I'll give you an example. A city with 100 people is going to buy a product of $10. And each month they buy that product $10, right? So let's say, for the simplicity, 1,000 people in that city. So 1,000 multiplied by 10, right? 100,000 is per monthly size of that particular market for that particular product. Now they're going to buy for 12 months, right? So 12 multiplied by 10,000, whatever, right, is 120,000 or whatever, or 1.2 million, whatever, right? The way that you calculate it is going to be a total size of the market for the whole year. So that's your total addressable market. This is very important for you to understand. Otherwise, your business case won't work. These are the fundamental terms, and I'm introducing these terms for you today. Total addressable market. Remember this. Very important term. So once you know that total addressable market, there's 1,000 people living in that city, $10 they spend. So that's $10,000 per month for that particular product, whatever the product that you're building, right? And it's 12 months, so $120,000 is the total market size. And during the concept phase, you have to have that idea. This is the total market size that I'm building product for. Then you got to start thinking about market size estimates, right? Attainable market share. Well, $120,000 is what everyone spends in a year. And I have two competitors today who is taking away 60,000 and 60,000 in a year. And I'm introducing my product into that market. And I forecast that I would be able to take away in my first year 10,000 from the competitor A and another 10,000 from competitor B. So for the first year, I will make $20,000, and second year I will make $40,000. Third year I will make $60,000. So that's what is attainable market share. How much are you going to get the market share? So market share is always with the percentage, right? So if you're going to take 10% of that $120,000, you'd say 10% that I take, that is nothing but equal to $12,000 in year one. The year two, 20,000, 20%, that's equal to $24,000. So the second term that you need to really understand is attainable market share. How much can you get money from your customers? Addressable market is $120,000. And let's assume that market is going to be stable. Every year only $120,000 only is going to be spent by the people living there. Or in some cases, new people will come. Instead of 1,000 people, the next year you will have 1,200 people. Then the total market size for the next year will increase, right? And then your attainable market share also will increase. If you can assume all the new customers will buy only your product. Or maybe 40% will buy my product, and the remaining 30% will be buying from our competitors' product. So it's the math that you need to do based on all the things that you have learned. So the second term is attainable market share. Typically during the feasibility phase, you should have this kind of an estimate. Then you will start forecasting your sales, right? How many units you will sell, number of units. Like, let's say I'm going to sell, if I'm going to make 10% market share, $12,000 and $10 is my product. So $12,000 means I'm going to sell 1,200, 1,200 units, pretty much a year. So that's your sales forecast, right? To reach that attainable market share. Now, you know the total market share, you know what you wanted to get out of that, get money out of that market share, attainable market share, and then you are starting to plan how many units I need to manufacture to sell. Then after doing that, you got to start doing the demand planning. Well, You can say, hey, all good, I can sell 1200 units in a year, but can you produce them? Do you have enough money to produce them? And if it is a non-tangible product, it's a different factor altogether, right? The software products. But then you got to really go through this and understand, can I produce them? And if you can, if you have answers for all the four, then you can start doing your budgeting. So now the budgeting is nothing but creating. You remember the financial statements that I talked to you about, creating how much sales I'm going to do, how much cost it's going to occur for me, and then finally down below you will actually have the profits and all those calculations, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and then you build your complete forecasting. That is why it is very important that you understand the basics of finance. So this is very, very important for you to do during the concept, feasibility, and definition phase. So now what is concept, feasibility, and definition phase? Let's quickly look at that diagram so that you are able to connect to that. During the new product planning phase. And what we have covered so far is only concept. We have to go through feasibility and definition. We will learn that together. But during the product planning only, you got to ensure that you are able to do that forecasting. Let me stop here. Do you guys have any questions on this? Are you able to kind of bring all these different dots together? Or are you able to at least conceptually able to connect all these things?
Yes, Kader, it's very good presentation and very good to listen all these terminologies.
Awesome. Right? And I'm not telling too detailed. I'm giving you all the highlights in a way that it will help you, right? And then you can always, through your continuous learning mindset, get into the depth and learn more of it. Good, perfect. So let's close this. And I wanted to show you guys, if you go to the Microsoft Teams, in our project channel, files, oops, that's a long place. General, files, business sessions, tools. I put some tools that I found in the internet, right? Just to help you. It need not have to be the, thing. And I have kind of put it in here, right? I'm not going to go through that, but I just wanted to let you know it's actually there, okay? So you can go to that Testoper project and see these are all the tools that you have. So an annual budgeting and tracking worksheet. This one I just got an example one when I was browsing through. Maybe it's a little bit old, right? You can create your own stuff, but at least it will give you some kind of an understanding as to how do you create an annual budget and how do you track them, and you can do it in a multi-year and so on, right? So that's pretty self-understanding, and I got this tool from some free places, so I kind of wanted to put it. It may be too old, right? But the idea is not about it, right? The idea is to give you some picture around that. And then competitor analysis dossier template is something that we already looked this together. I captured most of the things, and I referred a book called PM desk reference, right? And I took some inputs, and I also referred in a couple of other places, and I took some inputs, and then I kind of created this template for you guys to anytime will be useful from the theoretical point of view to look through this and practically fill in, right? But remember, these are all books, theoretical stuff, but you can delete and add depending upon the practical experience and the practical needs that you have. So this is the competitor analysis dossier, right? To really understand about the competitions and do few things around that. Then the next one is competitor feature comparison chart. This is again a very simple template that basically has like features and what products that you support, what features that competitors support, and so on, right? So that's the next one. Then we talked about the voice of customer, because it's very important that you have to listen voice of customers, and I kind of explained two things to you guys, right? The difference between listening and observing. It's very, very important. And then there is a customer visit plan. Most of the time, the success rate is when you actually visit a customer and talk to them and understand, listen, and observe them will give you more outcome than doing a lot of digital marketing and so on. But digital marketing and all is important. I'm not saying it's not important, but the most effective thing is when you meet a customer one-to-one, talk to them, face and understand is going to be the most effective approach, right? So that's customer visit plan, has some of the data that is related to that, which will help you guys with a few things. Okay. Then you have this opportunity statement. This is what I was talking to you about. This is the outcome of your concept phase. So there are some questions that you need to be asking and answering them to create an opportunity statement for that particular concept phase that you're going through. And finally, we talked about product positioning, right? We talked about customer. The more better that you understand the customer, the better you are able to build the product, the better you are able to articulate about your product. In other words, the better you are able to position your products to the end customers. So the end customers are able to really understand and learn and get attracted to your product and use your product and eventually pay for using your product. So that's the product positioning statement. And there are certain things around that I have written that you could probably go through that and understand and answer these questions. And everything that you see here in these templates is something that you have learned in this session from me, right? It's just a refresher and a framework for you to remember some of the things that I taught you, right? And it's not something that I created it. I looked at some reference here and there, and I try to create in a more concise way, which can help you guys with few things, using these tools. That's pretty much I wanted to cover today. And let me ask this question. So did you guys learn something today?
Kader, I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, so you talk about forecasting the budget, right? So you, in your example, you consider only positive approach, right? So what if, can I can we consider the worst case scenario? Because it's, you said that competitors and you gonna achieve a milestone like 20,000 per year or so, but is that a worst case scenario, or we are stretching our vision to whatever possibility is there?
That's actually a good question, right, Hetal? I mean, there's two ways to look at it. If you have collated the data and if you're very confident about what you wanted to achieve, right, then you can more or less have one budget and one business plan and show your confidence to your management or whatever. But when it comes to it's also a good way to really present best case, worst case, and optimal case, best case, and worst case, right? So you can say, hey, 10% market share is the optimal case, and if we perform really well and do whatever that we target to do, and I'm confident that we can go up to 20% market share, right? 24,000. That's my best case, and worst case is if we fail our deadlines. And if we don't meet the production requirement, based on the demand, and our supply is not good based on the demand, because a lot of cases R&Ds delay the projects and they deliver late, right? Then we end up in a worst case, and probably we will not be able to go optimal market share of gaining the market share of $12,000, but rather we would probably gain only $6,000. Then what happens is you are giving a very clear indication to your management that this is an optimal, this is the best, this is the worst, and worst can happen because A, B, C, D, E, and optimal can happen because A, B, C, D, E, and the best case can happen because of A, B, C, D, E. Then that could kind of give also a management to look at from all the perspective and decide on the investment, what they wanted to give you based on what you're asking them. That's a good question, Hetal.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that means forecasting should be marginal, like we should set the upper limit and lower limit and get the optimized value, right?
That's correct.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
End of the day, the data that you're going to pull together, all the dots that I talked about, the data that you're pulling together is the very critical one. Yeah. Okay.
I have one question
I
for them.
just wanted to quickly check here. I see Daniel. Daniel, have you joined newly today? I just want to. I know that there was another person, probably he also joined newly today.
Yes, I have.
Where are you from, Daniel?
Hey, yeah, I have. Philadelphia.
Where are you from? And what are your skills?
Philadelphia. Right now I'm actually in school for technical project management. I'm basically, I'm a jack of all trades, master of none, but I have excellent communication skills and background in psychology. I have a hell of a work ethic because I've worked on a horse farm that bred thoroughbreds, and I'm also a freelance dog trainer. I train dogs for autistic and deaf people.
Wow, wow. And
Yeah, I'm
what
just
made
trying to
you
make the world a little better, more.
what made you to join this today's
Sorry?
session? What made you to join this session? It's a software tech session. So
I typed in project management, and it's an assignment for school. Unfortunately, I came in too late, but it's funny because we were actually going over forecasting and things like critical path and risk mitigation, things like that. So what I caught was pretty much the end of what you were saying there, but what you were saying about budgeting right there, like actually it was kind of serendipitous because it fit into what we were learning about.
okay. No issues. You can always go back to the recording. This is probably our 18th session, right? This is like every Friday we come together and learn together in this session. And we all wanted to develop our skills to become an entrepreneur together as a team, right? So that's what we do here. You can always send your first name, last name, and your email address in the chat so that our guys can add you into the Microsoft Teams. So you can always collaborate with this team and join one of the teams and start learning together for sure. Good. Thanks, Daniel. Anyone else have any?
Really cool.
Thank you. Anyone else have any?
What was your name?
My name is Khader.
Khader, great to meet you. I will type my name in the chat. I mean my info.
Sure. And we are looking for, if your communication skill is good, you wanted to support us. And this Testoper organization is a volunteer-run organization. So no full-time employees. We are non-profit. We do this to help each other and grow. So if you're interested to join our programs team and other teams to volunteer, you're happy to, we'll be happy to have you in. You can always reach out to us.
I would love to do that. Yeah, I'm actually also studying to be a life coach. So I really do just enjoy helping other people learn and open their mind, being open-minded, and elevating their vibration level. You know what I mean? Making things a little bit easier, a little bit better life in general for everyone around me.
Sure. You can always type your, guys, if you look at the chat, I think, we have a WhatsApp and all, right? I can actually paste it here for you guys to look it up and join. And you can always reach out to me, right? Testoper@testoper.com. Through our website, there's an email address. You can always reach out to me if you're interested in volunteering. I'll be happy. And that's same for everyone else, right? Anyone who wants to volunteer to create a program, run the programs, and be an architect, identify speakers, and so on. You're welcome to, join us as a volunteer. Perfect, guys. That's what I had for today. I know that some of you guys will join in our tomorrow's session, Build App for Microservices. Those who are going to join, I'll see you guys tomorrow. And otherwise,
I think Pankaj had a question.
Okay. All right. So Pankaj, go ahead.
Yeah. So you give example of two competitors, right? Competitor A and competitor B, and they are sharing our market shares like 60,000 something. Yes, that's hypothetical data, right? I believe.
Sorry?
That's the hypothetical data you give, right?
But how? I'll give you an example, but when you have to do an analysis to get the real data based on the idea you have, based on the market that you're going behind, competitors you're going behind, segments you're going behind, customers that you're going behind. Yeah.
So in real time scenario, how can we get those information? Like, is there any way or method or any resources so we can know the competitors share or in the market actual real time?
Yeah. I mean, there are a number of resources are there, right? And it depends upon the idea that you're going to come up with. And then, I mean, there's number of places. It's if you remember in my earlier sessions, those days I was telling you, right? It's all about research. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to look around. You got to find out. You got to search. There are a lot of resources. Like for example, I forgot. Um, uh, Crunchbase is a you can go and search like Crunchbase, right? Where a lot of companies are registered, right? The startups and everyone is registered. Just search Crunchbase and register yourself. You will get the list of companies from there. There's number of things. There's no one answer, Pankaj, to that. Okay. There's number of things that you can do just to can get started with this to kind of understand what are the different companies that are out there. So you can actually do Crunchbase, discover innovative company and people, and create an account there, and you can look it up. Different companies, yeah, there's they charge some dollars and stuff like that, but you'll get some who is actually getting what kind of investments raised from others. You know what? Every one of you actually go and look at this. This will kind of motivate you even to become an entrepreneur. Yeah, take this as an action for today. Go and look at this crunchbase.com. And I was supposed to be teaching, training all these things towards the entrepreneurship side, but it's actually good that you asked this question. So to answer your question, short answer is Pankaj, you got to research, and there's number of ways you can find out answer to your question.
Like in back home we have a chamber of commerce thing, so we can got some company information over there.
Yeah, and you can do it like if you're trying to target in Brampton, you can go to the Brampton city of Brampton and ask them the details, right? And there is so many open data available from federal government in Canada that you can take and see the populations and the age factor and who are the competitors, where so many things, right? I mean, there's no one single answer, but it's all out there. It's how we are approaching towards to get answer to all our questions.
Yeah. Thank you.
Perfect. Anyone else have any other questions? All right. So I'll let you all go, and I'll see you next week, Friday. And all the team leaders, try to get most of your team members into this call. I know they are looking at these videos offline to learn, but it's also good to have them online to kind of create a little bit more of an energy into this program. And remember my stuff, right? Please do post, about your experiences in LinkedIn and tag me and do your own marketing to get to, because now you're an entrepreneur. You got to do your own marketing to get teams coming and helping you to build your team, build your product and everything, right? So that's the way it should work. And I wanted you guys to get started on that. At some point of time, I will also bring in some marketing experts to give you some kind of a session, an hour session about how you can really market yourself, right? And what kind of how you can do posting in LinkedIn, how you can become visible. A lot of different things we'll learn one after another. Trust me, I'll bring in experts to help you guys to go through this throughout the year. So with that, let's close the session for today. You guys have a wonderful evening. Have a great time with your family. Weather is good. Walk out, and we'll talk soon. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kadir. Thank you all.